Welcome to the 6-5 Podcast. I'm Dorian.
And I'm Phoenicia.
Yes, you are. And this gentleman over here is Bruce Williams. Clap it up for Bruce Williams. He is an illustrious member here of the Union League Club of Chicago. So, Bruce, we're going to get right to it. Thank you for doing the podcast for us today. Tell us what made you become a member of the Union League Club.
It was a combination of things that I learned over time. So I was brought here for lunch, for a discussion. I knew nothing about the club at that time, but then was exposed to its art, which I'm very interested in. And then the athletic facility, I was looking for a gym at the time. It's gorgeous, pool on the 22nd floor, all of that was great. And finally, there's a reciprocal membership to the Chicago Yacht Club, which is on Monroe Harbor, which is where I keep a boat in the summertime, and that was the last straw.
So Bruce has a boat, is what I heard.
So, and that's the first time I'm hearing of this boat. So I'm glad we're doing this now. Okay. So now we know. Actually, we could have did the podcast on the boat, but this is amazing. So, and then because you were already a member of the yacht club, and so you came.
No. I became a reciprocal member of the yacht club through the Union League Club.
Got it.
So for no additional cost.
Nice.
So that's what sealed the deal for me.
Great. Since being a member, what is it about the Union League Club of Chicago, with all of its history, makes it special and dynamic?
Besides bridge night.
Oh, he loves bridge, doesn't he? Yeah, we know that.
Yeah. And I learned to play here, which was, so after I decided to join, that was an extra perk that I still, really appreciate. It is this club's impact on Chicago and the surrounding areas from its inception, along with its stated goal of supporting, celebrating the Union. Union being Union versus Confederacy. This created after the Civil War. Mm-hmm. Today, that's something that still needs to be addressed, and the club is doing that. Kind of through its political action committees and things of that nature. Those are the things.
So how many clubs would you say clubs do you belong to? Besides, I know you go to Bridge. Are you on
within the within the
groups? I should
club, say. I am an active member of the Arts Committee. I am a relatively active member of the Technology Committee. I have a strong interest in the Social Justice Committee, but can't attend as much as I would like. And the same thing with the race relations. So a few. I was also just made a board member of the Lumen Arts organization, which is based out of the club, and that takes up significant time. Mm-hmm. But none of this, when I joined, were reasons that I was going to join.
Right. So would you say that the networking in the club is special?
So I think the opportunities for networking in the club are special. I am not a networker.
I think I know
Put it out there. Let everybody know. Really.
Bruce doesn't come here to network, right, Bruce?
No. In fact, at the time that I joined, I thought I would be using it at off hours, that I wouldn't, I try to avoid people in general, kind of because I joined.
There are many uses for the club.
That's right. I joined just as COVID was ending, and so whenever I went to the gym, everything was available. It was a wonderful experience, and so since then, it's been getting a bit more populated. But it's still a great space.
A great space. And let's talk about that, because you have a passion for art.
I do.
When you came here, did you know about the club and its history with the art?
I did, because the person that I had dinner with that initial time was a former member of the arts committee, and so that night she gave me a tour of the collection that was on display at the time, and I was moved. So it's the second largest collection to the Art Institute, and there's really there's great stuff here.
And you've even submitted art for the.
I've never seen any of these pictures.
I am a photographer. I've done that professionally at one point in my life, and there is every year an exhibit of club members who are artists, kind of their art. So you submit what you have, and the art committee judges, kind of what gets in and what doesn't. And fortunately, one of my pieces hung, in the club.
And what was the name of this piece? I missed this piece. Do you remember the piece?
Of course I do.
We need to bring this piece back.
It was called A Master's Hands.
Okay.
And it was close-up of actually a distinguished artist member of the club named Willie Pickens in concert. And it was actually taken right before he passed. And you can see his hands and their reflection is in the piano itself. It's kind of an ethereal, otherworldly kind of thing, and it just seemed like, to me, it seemed like his spirit was captured, kind of in the photograph. So it's a large piece of just his hands.
Interesting.
Can we? Because you and I have talked before this podcast. Before. Oh man, was that last summer? I don't know.
That long?
Do you mind sharing with us the story that you shared with me about your father and the Union League Club and how that affected you?
Okay. So, I mentioned when I joined, I had no prior knowledge of the club. And after I joined, I invited my father to lunch. I was just going to take him, bring him to lunch here. Not thinking much about it. And when I got there to pick him up, he and my stepmom were very emotional. They were, I can't believe you joined, this club. And I'm like, I'm surprised you even know it existed. And he said that in the 70s, no, it was the late 60s. I'm sorry. He worked across the street. It was Continental Bank at the time. He was in computer science. He helped build the computer system for the first commercial satellite put into space. And the team that he was on, in which he was the only African American, decided to come here for a celebratory dinner. And during that process, he was stopped at the door, and not allowed to enter because of its restrictions. So that impacted him significantly, and he was embarrassed. He's a very proud, kind of person, and actually he would have done this club so much good as a member. He was exactly the type of person, that would help. He started arts festivals. He's deeply connected, within the environment. But anyway, it was always something that he felt excluded from. So when I brought him here and gave him a tour, and it was a very kind of emotional experience, and then he passed shortly after that. So
wow. Wow, it's an interesting story. I did not know that story.
Thank you for telling that. I think it needs to be said. It's a great story.
I think, had I known that story prior, I probably wouldn't have joined the club.
So then I was going to ask you that prior, you never had this discussion with your dad about the club, because it wasn't really a thing, because you didn't know, it wasn't really nothing to discuss, right? Until you decided to become a member, you didn't know exactly what he had went through.
Well, how do you think he felt knowing that you were like, was he like, man, you're gonna join this club, or was he, you know?
He was very proud.
Okay.
He was
That's amazing.
surprisingly proud. He was uncomfortably proud.
Uncomfortably proud.
about, about this, just given the fact that he viewed the members as having a certain status in life, and the fact that I was doing something that he desired, and in his mind wasn't able to do.
Interesting. Wow. But you know what? We've come, I believe the club has come a long way. I'm thinking it's just progressing. And I think that in life, that's what it's about, right? Progressing and changing maybe for positive situations, right?
That's right.
So really, we're happy to have you here. What does Bruce do? Because you seem like you are a man of many talents. Your career, what do you do?
Yeah, I've gotten that question.
This is the perfect time. We all want to know. Yeah.
Well, my primary occupation is I act as a temporary chief data officer for companies that need to modernize in terms of their digital and data capabilities.
It's an interesting job, Bruce.
Okay.
Okay. Seems like you'll see what your 9 to 5 looks like. This is amazing.
Numbers.
Yeah.
Numbers. A lot of numbers. Math.
Within the job? Absolutely. And
We don't
a
do
lot
math.
I hate math. I'm gonna tell you right now.
a lot of strategy, just a lot of thinking. So it's fun.
Okay. And how long have you been doing this?
So I've been in IT for 25 years, and in this consulting space for 6.
Oh, interesting. And that's because you're an IT guy. What is up with this AI? Is AI taking over, or where are we going to go with AI? I mean, it's like it's everywhere, and I know that
everywhere.
Where are we in it now? We are not getting out of it, right?
It's not going anywhere.
Right. How dangerous could it be, and how what are the positives and the because a lot of people don't know. I got this thing on my phone, the bot thing, and you try to use it.
For you,
You try to write for you. What all does it do? And is this some of this stuff dangerous? I love this.
I wouldn't. It depends on how you define dangerous. I guess.
Because I've heard, like, in some of the ways that they're using AI, especially now in this political season, in this particular year, the people may not be the actual person. And I think one of the situations I heard is when the president was doing a robocall, he was supposed to be calling someone in one of the primaries, but it really wasn't him. It was someone else trying to be Joe Biden. So is this something that we have to worry about as far as identity? And I just know
Who's
recently...
answering the phone from Joe Biden?
Yeah,
though?
right. I mean, well...
I'm not answering the phone.
Is Jill answering? We don't even know.
But I mean, are they really calling people?
Well,
No.
I would want to believe that they're calling us, but
No.
yeah, how dangerous? So and then
So in that regard, in terms of fakes and fake news and that kind of thing.
yeah, and because SAG-AFTRA just had, it was a huge this union trying to go through, because with it's the Screen Actors Guild,
Right.
and them being able to say, you know what, this is my work, but
Yep.
if this work is not protected, and they went through that,
That's right.
trying to get everything. So this thing is something.
That's right. So the legal field is trying to catch up with technology, which is moving at an exponential pace, and they're certainly lagging behind. I think we're at a point now at this particular moment where you can tell to a certain extent by using common sense, by using kind of additional research, whether something is true or not. I think it is a warning to everyone to look for second and third, kind of confirmations of whatever it is that you're seeing. And I think that's going to continue. I think the laws will begin to catch up, and we'll see kind of less of that kind of thing. So yeah, that's a negative. On the positive side, it's making a lot of people's jobs easier, and allowing them to do them better. Because in the specific LLM, large language models, so things like ChatGPT are able to pull from kind of all of man's prior learnings, or at least that's fed to that particular model, and give you answers. Now they're not perfect answers, so we can't just depend on that alone. There still need to be people, learned people that are interpreting what they're being given, but it's a matter of adjusting it as opposed to writing it from scratch, which is a lot better situation.
Interesting. With
So
all
it's
of
writing
that,
people's papers, and I mean, you can tell that when someone writes a letter and it's like "my dearest love," that they probably didn't write that. That's Chat GPT, whatever, writing for them. But people rely on that a lot for papers nowadays.
That's true, but there are ways that instructors are kind of able to check for this or that. I mean, it's only going to be so beneficial for so long.
You gotta
so
get
you
while
mean
you're
it's,
getting good.
Damn, I'm glad y'all telling me, because
Getting
I was going
while
to try to get
getting good.
my PhD and have
Well, hurry.
and let ChatGPT write my dissertation.
Now's the time.
Okay,
Quickly.
right?
At least do that with some help.
Okay, with some help.
Well, you mentioned Lumen Arts. Can you tell me, since you didn't come here to be social, how did you get involved with Lumen Arts?
Well, it's the art part of Lumen Arts,
Okay.
which kind of overrode that. I think it's an amazing organization that is really identifying world-class talent and supporting them. People that are at the beginning of their careers but have done the work to see that they're clearly professionals and are going to rise, and it's giving them a boost, a platform to do that. So anything that puts more quality art into the world is something I'm in favor of.
I love it. I love it.
I thought you were going to say you were a musician also.
You never know. He probably, who knows?
Yeah, I play the piano.
You play the
Oh, see,
piano?
I knew
Because I
it.
thought I heard him up there
Okay.
one night playing, and someone says, "Who's that on the piano?" And they said, "That's Bruce Williams." I'm like, "Oh, I think it was sounding pretty good." And I think from what I heard, so he does a little bit of everything.
Dabbles.
Speaking of which, because you talked about the boat that you have, when you're not doing IT stuff, and when it's Bruce's time, and your other passions, what do you do outside of the club and outside of your profession that you enjoy?
Yeah. So I'd say in the last 7 years or so, the summers have been filled with sailing. I've been sailing for about 20 years, but got really serious about it. In that 7-year time period. So just an aggressive learning pace, and then I crew on a couple of race teams. Every Wednesday night I'm racing, and usually on Saturdays. And this year I'm going to do the MAC race, which is the
Wow.
largest kind of inland race in the world. It takes about 3 days to do.
Wow. And where does this take place?
Lake Michigan.
Lake Michigan.
It starts for the Chicago.
You got
Yacht
to be
Club.
kidding me. And then well, right?
Club again.
And then it goes.
To Mackinac and all the way to the top of Lake Michigan. Yeah, so about 300 and something miles. Something
You
like
do that
that. 3 to 4.
alone, or you got somebody on there with
Oh
you?
no, it's
It's a crew?
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's a small boat with relatively small boat with
Now
10
I'm nervous.
10 people.
Any kind of small
people.
boat, and
But
I'm
10
like,
people, so it can't be too
yeah.
small.
Boats like
He
that
only
have
ride
capsized.
yachts. He only
Yeah, I'm
ride
only on the
yachts.
big. I'm only because here's the thing. I can't swim, so I'm always kind of
So
my
before you
fear.
get that PhD.
Yeah. Before I do that, learn how to swim. It's hard to teach a grown man how to swim these days. I wish they would throw me in the water when I was a young kid or something.
It's not too late now?
It's not too late. Okay. But Bruce, we would love to come out with you on this sailing. You and I,
You can
right?
invite yourself to
Can we? And then we can do another podcast like on the boat. But that seems like that's fun. Like because you said you've been doing it for a long time, and I've always kind of been amazed by people that sail. And I know we've had a lot of some of the former presidents that I follow. A lot of them were sailors, Bush and oh my God, Kennedy, and some of these other guys. But it must be. Is it something that you can kind of get away from everything, and it's like you can you're out there on the water, and you're just kind of reflecting and getting everything back that you put out.
Yeah. So solitude was definitely my attraction. My
It's a
original
theme for him.
He don't like.
Maybe we should leave.
Here's
What are we doing this to, right?
here's another theme though. As soon as I got involved, now I'm on
Yes,
teams.
that's how it goes. Yep.
And he didn't want to be on the team.
Exactly.
I did that to learn quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Now
I get very little alone.
See what I
alone
mean?
time.
He needs alone time. We need to get this man some alone time. This is amazing. Well, you seem like you have a really good life and the things that you're doing. Talk about your family. Do you have how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I had two brothers. One's gone from us, and I have a sister, and they're
Chicago? They live in Chicago?
Atlanta. They're Atlanta based.
Okay.
Is that where you're from?
Are you from?
I lived there as a child for about 8 years.
So you went to school there. Some of your early.
I did grammar school through my first year of high school.
Uh-huh.
I was there. Benjamin Mays was that.
Okay.
Represent.
Represent Benjamin Mays.
And yes, I've been in Chicago since sophomore year of high school.
Oh, interesting. Good stuff.
So if you, even though you're, like your alone time, if you could start a club or a group, I should say, inside the club.
He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't like this would be something. Or would you?
Not purposefully.
The alone club.
The alone club. He would go for that one. That's yeah.
Well, what was finish the question? If I could start a
Yeah,
club?
if you could start a group inside the club. I mean, we have a lot of groups already, interest groups. Is there anything that you think is missing?
From this particular club.
Well, you used to have a sailing club that you no longer do. I'm not sure what they would have done, and I'm not sure I would have joined. but it would be interesting.
Why?
seem
Why
like
would you have joined?
The perfect person to start one,
Yeah.
or to get it
with
going
your
again.
knowledge.
I just thinking about what the benefits of that would be, and so I guess being with people that share a passion and can share stories and that kind of thing. Potentially that's something.
Somewhere down the pipeline, it could actually happen. Maybe.
Well, since you started sailing, I was going to say about boats. Like, what have you learned, like you didn't know, like gas and how far you can go and like mechanics of like the engine? Like, you had to learn all that part of it?
So I sail, and the benefit of that is what you're learning about most is the wind and how it interacts with the sails. How you can, get anywhere in the world just by, kind of natural power. So, so the boat that I have, I lease, which means I don't have to be responsible for any of the repairs and that kind of stuff.
good.
And what do you call it? Storage or
Right.
whatever.
Because I see those boats where they're always people are storing their boats,
and it costs
I'm
a lot
like,
of money
costs a
to-
lot of money.
It does.
And so a person like me or Phoenicia that don't know anything about sailboats and we
How
wanted
do
to.
you know I don't know anything
Well, maybe
about
you
this?
do know something, and you never. Maybe you do, and I'm like, you're keeping it quiet. How, should you buy a brand new boat? Because I
No.
heard that you really don't have to buy a brand
But
new
I heard
boat.
that so you can get old.
That you can get an older, and it's just as.
Yeah. So you can get a sailboat for free. They're
Oh.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
We need
Keep going.
We need this.
absolutely. And usually, folks need to be very kind of handy and that kind of thing. There's going to be renovations and that kind of thing involved. But yeah, older boats. Once they started making boats out of fiberglass in like the 80s, those boats are still around. They're still operating, and you can get them at reasonable prices. It's just kind of the headache of maintenance and all of the other costs associated with it.
Interesting.
What are the other costs associated with the boat besides?
He doesn't want to tell us. It's almost like
no. Listen, you're going to have to replace sails, which can be $10,000
Wow.
at a time.
Okay.
So no more free boat.
now free boat has become into like expensive boat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no way to get out of it, without eventually outlaying a lot of money. So the cost to even dock and kind of all of those things.
And I'm sure Chicago's going to make you pay for all type, every single.
Oh yeah, old Cook County.
Gonna
You know
make
what
you
they
pay for
call Cook
every
County? Can we say it on here? No, we
docking
can't. Oh, but I know.
Well, Bruce, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
I mean, it took a while, but we finally got it done.
No, I think that we did, and we have been talking about it. But I feel like you have a really good, interesting background, and we just really appreciate you taking the time to come out to be with us on the 65 podcast.
Happy to be with you both. Thank
Yeah,
you.
and so
Thank
now,
you for
are we
having me.
going sailing this summer?
Listen, let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. You guys heard it here, and we're going to make it happen. This has been the 65 podcast with yours truly, Dorian.
And Phoenicia.
Mr. Williams over here. We'll see you again next time. Bye.